I say a few words? Thank you.
It's a perfect storm of economic woes that's sweeping across the country. The dark clouds of rising inflation are being whipped into giant cumuli by the raw winds of looming negative equity. The rain of higher mortgages is lashing down to the sound of thundercracks of despair as people lose their jobs amid the lightning flashes of company closures. All right, I'll stop now. You see, after 10 years of dear Prudence taking the credit for his expert steering of the ship of our economy through the heaving seas of international turbulence, the pigeons of reality are coming home to roost on the perches of our wallets. All right, I really will stop now. Food prices are up, some basics are up 80% on last year. No wonder the bill at the supermarket's so high. Last time I went, I thought the checkout woman was announcing her weight in pounds, not my bill in pounds. Allied to that, estate agents are laying people off and many are closing altogether. But it's not all good news, as house prices are falling at their fastest rate in 30 years too. Like I said, it's a perfect storm, and so what does our white-toothed leader do after taking credit for the good times, when we were just blown along with the rest of the Western world in a cycle of affluence? Does he accept the blame for the bad times? Abso-notly. When the going gets tough, the tough hire PR men. Apparently Gordon No-Spin Brown has hired a public relations consultant every 2 weeks since the start of the year, at a cost of about £2 million. These experts have had the task of burnishing the PM's image to improve his standing, to make him appear more competent, more confident, and more likeable. I'd ask for my money back. 0845 6060 973. How very dispiriting and disappointing it must be to wake up to be Gordon Brown every day. For years upon endless years he'd waited for the top job, rubbing his hands in glee when the fake smile disappeared to count his money, and he'd left him with, well, it just looks like a giant steaming pile of ordure, doesn't it? I'd be furious. If he'd got in at any time over the last 10 years, then it would have been super fantastic and smiles all round. I don't know, this. Maybe Tony Blair had planned this all along. Maybe he had, I don't know, gone to the three witches on the moors who had predicted that things were about to go belly up. And he thought, well, ta-ta. And he just sailed off, forever smiling. And Gordon's left with the burning embers. He must be really, really angry. No wonder he looks like that. You'd look like that too. Anyway, there's, that's pretty much all that was in the papers today, along with Glastonbury. Now, a couple of days ago, correct me if I'm wrong, I said that it was a really bad idea to have Jay-Z headline Glastonbury, didn't I? Yes, Nick, you're absolutely right.
You
did
might
say
have done.
that.
I didn't hear that, though. Did you say that before, or after Noel Gallagher?
No, before, way before.
Oh.
Yeah, this was probably last week when you were working on Drive, so you weren't here. But you could have caught up with the show on our excellent podcast service. No doubt that you were going home and listening to that on a daily basis, right?
Absolutely. I had them on the plane on the way to my holiday as well.
Oh, hey, by the way, if you missed any part of this or any other super show on this station, you can hear it back again because we archive them on the website, which I believe you'll find at www.lbc.co.uk/LBC+.
Orky/docky.
Where did you go on holiday, by the way?
US of A.
Ah. And how was it for you?
It was super. Thanks for asking.
What an attitude. Can you believe that? Most people come back, full of the joys. Him, not so much.
Well, it's been a week and I've been working for most of it.
Yeah, moan.
Stop whining!
Where did you go?
New York and Philadelphia.
Ah, yes. What a bizarre couple that is. New York.
What's wrong with New York?
But what's wrong with it? Oh, well, OK, let's start a list, shall we? It's hideous, for a start. There's no green, apart from what is essentially a traffic island in the middle of it. There are no trees, or greenery of any kind in New York. It's all been concreted over, in much the same way that they want to concrete over much of our green and pleasant land, and call it an eco-town. Did you see this, absolutely staggering announcement from, Caroline Flint? I am really interested in your holiday, by the way, and we'll get to that later. Have you got pictures?
A few on my phone.
Got a present?
For you, Yeah, but it was that big that they had to ship it back.
Right,
It's coming
I see.
through Terminal 5.
Okay, I'll pay the tax. The Minister for Eco-Towns, and by the way, there's no such thing as an eco-town. How can there be? Concrete, for a start, will be a major constituent of any eco-town, and that's about the most destructive material known to man. The Minister for Eco-Towns has conjured up an improbable argument to counter her critics. Concrete is good for the countryside. That's what she's actually saying. You know, the countryside, green rolling hills and hedgerows and the little Tweety birds. Here and there. That's not good enough. The way God made it, well, he slipped up here and there. What's missing is concrete. Caroline Flint, faced with mounting objections to government plans for 10 eco-towns on greenfield sites, and that's the only... that's the way they can blast through planning restrictions, by using the word eco. It's going to be green. Well, yeah, it is green. It's green now. It couldn't get any greener. If you painted it green, it wouldn't be any greener than it is now. Concreting it over, not so green. So they call it an eco-town, and then everyone's neck gets reeled back in, and they think, oh, well, it'll probably be nice then. I'll tell you what it'll look like. Endless little boxes, all exactly the same, with tiny windows and no cupboards inside. Anybody want to live in those?
No.
She says, it's actually, what she said is so staggering, you can't quite believe that a human being has come out with it. She said, faced with mounting objections to government plans for 10 eco-towns on greenfield sites, not brownfield sites. She don't like brownfield sites are things that have already been built up, I think someone's garden can be classed as a brownfield site, can't it? Where they put, things that aren't rolling pasture land. So they've skipped over that bit, they've gone straight for the green. But having said all that, though, if you look at a picture of this country from space, it's all green. Apart from Hackney. Not so green. Anyway, she's listened to objections for 10 eco-towns. She said that turning fields into housing estates could improve the green environment and biodiversity.
What?
Turning fields... Are you with me? Try and follow along. The bouncing ball is along the bottom of the screen. Turning fields into housing estates will improve the green environment. People's eyes are raising to the ceiling thinking, You're thinking... No, you're thinking? She says, given that Milton Keynes was built on agricultural land, I'm sure there were people at the time who said, this is terrible, we're losing this green environment, she said. What Milton Keynes has shown is that you can actually enhance the green environment. Oh, come on. Now, I speak as someone who hasn't actually been to Milton Keynes in a really long time. I can remember the advert on the telly, some kid with a balloon, right? It was coloured red. It had no relation to actual Milton Keynes, which, from memory, was a giant roundabout, with no redeeming features. Like Slough. She said that Milton Keynes has actually enhanced the green environment. That's partly because they've actually managed the green space, she says, growing the plants and developing the bird life and what have you. There's a minister who's fully got a grasp on her brief, and what have you. I mean, that's ministerial speak for whatever. Which has meant that it's far richer today than when it was just agricultural land. I see. So, concreting it over, building houses, sewage pipes, electricity pylons, the whole lot, actually makes nature better than it was before you started doing it. Right, well, we better get on with it then, because there's a lot of Scotland that they've got to pave over. It's hideous up there. It's green as far as the eye can see. Wales will get set on them straight away. There's some parks in London which could benefit from some concrete. 7:44. LBC Travel with Amanda Redmond.
Thanks very much, Nick.
Are you trying to tell me that this is your act?
We have a How Low auction running at the moment. It is for a 32-inch Samsung LCD TV, baby. It's got the lot. HD ready. It looks super fantastic even when it's switched off. Nail this to your wall. You'll never want to leave the flat again. It's a reverse auction. The person with the lowest unique bid wins. You could win it essentially for a penny, if nobody else bids a penny. To bid, text LBC plus your bid in pence to 88821. If it was a bid of, for instance, 87p, it would be LBC 87 to 88821. Bids cost £1.50 plus your standard network rate. Lines closed 7pm, Wednesday, 16th of April. Bidders must be over 16. See lbc.co.uk for full terms and conditions. Good luck with that. Here is our first call on 0845 6060 973 in Poplar. Andy.
Hello.
Andy.
Hi. Right, you're saying about green spaces in London.
Yeah.
I agree, but we have we have the most green spaces of any capital city in the world, I think.
I think that's actually correct, yes.
It is. I think that one of the reasons we've still got so many is because of the monarchy.
I think that's correct too, isn't it? Yeah, go ahead. Some of them are...
If it wasn't for them, they'd have been concreted over years ago.
Why the monarchy?
Well, they own most of them.
Now,
the monarchy owns most of the parks within London.
Now, is that actually true?
Yeah. It's all royal land.
Right. But they don't personally own them any more than they own than she owns Buckingham Palace.
Well, yes, in the same way that they don't, strictly speaking, own it. It's all our land, but they control it, kind of thing.
Right.
But yeah, I think if it wasn't for the fact that we had the monarchy, we'd have lost loads of it years ago.
Well, yeah, I don't know whether that's true or not, but I'd like to believe that it is. Yeah.
It is. But when you were saying about New York, there is an awful lot of green space in New York as well.
I don't think so, no.
There is.
Yeah,
Oh, no, there is.
I don't think so, Andy, no.
Yeah, they have little pockets. I mean, we stayed years ago at Gramercy Park Hotel.
Gramercy Park, yes.
Gramercy Park Hotel, which is a beautiful old hotel. People used to live there, and they have their own private park.
Well, when you say park, it's more like a square.
Well, it's a square, yes.
Yeah.
It's like you get
a tiny postage stamp-sized piece of green.
Well, in terms of the size of New York.
Yeah, which is towered over by hideous blocks that eliminate all natural light. Yeah, it sounds lovely.
But it's a little bit of green.
Yeah, I suppose so, yeah. But then so's a window box,
Yes, it's a window box on the edge of this towering concrete jungle. Yes.
Actually, every time I see pictures of New York, it just looks worse and worse. It looks like a living hell. Why would anybody want to live there?
Well, I wonder that. Why do people live there? Why do people live in London?
Well, London's got no end of good stuff going for it, and parks being right up there.
Well, they are, yes.
London's parks have got to be the best in the world.
They are.
I mean, Paris doesn't have parks like we do. Amsterdam certainly doesn't. No. Where else? I don't really know the German big cities that well.
They don't have an awful lot of parks.
Right. Nowhere in America has parks like we do. We're number one. Hey, we're number one at something good.
Yes, we are.
Can you believe it? All right. Thanks, Andy.
Okay.
Cheers, mate. Ta-da.
Bye.
So it's all down to Her Majesty the Queen, then. That's why we've got our green open spaces still, and they're not all covered in flats.
I was in Holland Park today.
Really? That's nice.
And they have peacocks in there.
Yes, they do. Yeah, peacocks. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a recording of a peacock yesterday. In Holland Park, as a matter of fact. Why did you go to New York and Philadelphia? What a bizarre two-centre holiday that was. What was that, like the consolation prize?
No, it's because I have friends out there, that's why.
Oh, I see. Friends, right. So how, have a great time? Anything to report? Get mugged?
No, it's perfectly safe. I saw Liberty Bell, which was good. Walked around, got some tax-free shopping.
Which I hope that you paid for coming back.
Of course.
Of course you did, yes. Mm-hmm. And was, did you leave from T5, by the way?
No, Terminal 4.
And how was that for you? Did your luggage travel more or less the same route that you did?
Perfectly intact.
Oh, wow, what about that? The number, by the way, 0845 6060 973. Raj's very unforthcoming about his holiday, which makes me very suspicious. There is a move afoot to make driving even a worse experience than it is at the moment. And it is profiled in the Standard today, and if only I could find it, I will lay it on you. A trial of a powerful new Wi-Fi speed camera that tracks drivers along every inch of road has begun in London. 34 devices have been put on a 5-mile stretch of the A13 between Canning Town and Gorsebrook, wherever that is. Oh, it's in the east. Unlike Gatso cameras that film vehicles at just one point, and at which you can slow down, I think it's nice that they painted them bright yellow. I mean, you'd have to be really driving along with your eyes shut to miss them, wouldn't you? You'd think that they'd disguise them in bushes and, camouflage them so that you can't see them. They must have fallen into that trap and then thought it politically unacceptable to try and get out of it. I bet they're a bit furious that they painted the first one yellow. It probably just came like that from the factory, so they nailed it to the pavement, and then everybody expected it to be yellow from that moment on. Unlike Gatso cameras that film vehicles at just one point, the new devices communicate with each other, enabling them to track a car as it moves.
Oh, no!
Oh, yes. Drivers travelling between any two cameras have their average speed automatically calculated by a pewter. Those above the limit would be liable to, guess what? A present and a bunch of flowers. Or a £60 fine and 3 points on their licence. The London Safety Camera Partnership said today that no one... what a benign name for such an evil organisation. The London Safety Camera Partnership. It's got the word safety and partnership and London, all in the same title. They said that today no one... And when I say evil, of course, it's metaphorical. I don't actually mean that they're evil. The London Safety Camera Partnership said today that no one would be fined during the trial. Oh, right. A trial. Which will continue over the summer before officials decide on implementation. Well, let's just jump till after the summer. They'll do it. Or they're just stroking their chins thinking, gosh, I wonder if we should... do you think? Maybe? They're going to do it. It could pave the way for speed and distance cameras being rolled out across London, making it harder for drivers to cheat, in inverted commas, by braking when they see a camera. Well, it's not really cheating. Cars these days do 155 miles an hour. In fact, they do more than that. They have to be limited to that speed. They're not happy crawling along at 20 or even 30. If you just leave a car to its own devices, before you know it, you're doing 50 miles an hour, backing out of your garage. So it's almost impossible to keep it under 30 at all times, which is why we brake when we come up to one of those cameras, because we've just drifted over a little bit. Experts believe the system could be used to enforce a blanket ban of 20 miles an hour. Not ban. A speed limit of 20 miles an hour over the entirety of the capital. 20! The partnership is also carrying out a 20-mile-an-hour trial using average speed cameras in Mansfield Road in Camden. Mansfield Road, isn't that in Gospel Oak? I used to live there. Hideous. A spokesman said, it's essential we trial measures that could be used to enforce speed limits and reduce road accidents and blah, blah, blah. Got nothing to do with it. At sites where speed cameras... a spokesman said, at sites where speed cameras have been used, there's been a 53% reduction in the number of people killed or seriously injured. No, there hasn't. Time after time, statistics will come out, and you can... counter every time somebody says that they've reduced the number of people killed or injured with other statistics that will say it's actually had no effect at all or they've increased. It just depends on where you start your little graph there. Captain Gatso of the Motorists Against Detection said, well, Who cares what he said? He's called Captain Gatso. How can anybody take him seriously? I mean, he might as well have shown up in a Timmy Mallet mask. He said, if this goes live, any motorist who inadvertently strays over the speed limit for a moment will find themselves on the receiving end of a fine. It could lead to even more motorists losing their licences and possibly their livelihood for a momentarily creeping over the limit. Richard Bourne of the Campaign for Better Transport said, speed cameras have been proven to save lives. No, they haven't. They haven't been proven to save lives. Quite the reverse. Like I said, it just depends on how you crunch your statistics. But, you know, they'll say that, and people oh, yeah, that's right, they save lives. Oh, OK, then. And we sort of shrug, oh, all right, then. We're sleepwalking into all this. The French would be pulling up paving stones and throwing them at gendarmerie. No wonder the police in France, by the way, don't sort of stroll around like ours do, with giant boobs on their head. They lurk, French police. They sort of lurk in gangs, like well-armed hoodies, and just they sort of look menacingly at you, like, don't even bother asking me for the time. I kill you. And then every now and again, you'll see they just sort of scramble for their cars and then zoom off in a big convoy to something, oh, I don't know, exciting and explosive. It's like a parkour festival up the road, you know, something like that. But ours just like, wandering around. How did I get onto this? French police versus British police. Where on earth did that come from? Raj, you're the producer.
I think you got lost in your thinkings.
I did, yeah. Are we on the air? Really, you're the producer. You're supposed to be taking control. It's about time you took responsibility for what I say.
That sounds really ominous.
You're not on holiday now, you know. You want to buck up your ideas, mate. 0845 6060 973. This is 97.3. You're listening to LBC. And they'll have no more details after that.
Flashing up on the indicator.
Is Enfield. Oh, Margaret.
Hello.
Hello, Margaret.
I just wanted to mention that I was born, I won't tell you when.
1960?
No, before Nelson lost his eye. And I was born round Russell Square.
Ah, yes.
Near the Russell Square. And I just wanted to mention that there's about 11 squares round there. There's Tavistock Square, Torrington Square, Gordon Square, I could rattle them all off. And they weren't allowed to build on there because that was the property of the Duke of Bedford.
Yeah, that's right. All the grand estates in London, which sort of make up the centre of London, were sort of carved up between about 2 or 3 families, weren't they? And they were all based around squares. Yeah. Yes.
And of course, some of it was built on with the university, and I should be telling my age. I saw the Prince of Wales open in the BMA. You know where that bus was blown up in Tavistock Square?
Oh, yeah.
And I went, we only were a minute from there. But I just wanted to mention that, you know, we were really central, and you could get to Green Park, and the Queen, when she was small with her Princess Margaret, they used to go down the top of our road.
I very much doubt that.
You know, to go to King's Cross for Sandringham.
Oh, I thought you were going to say sandwiches.
No, but that's where we used to see them very often, and of course I used to see ladies in waiting at up the Mall. Right. They used to be presented at court. You wouldn't know that. You're too babyish.
Yeah, a little bit babyish.
Yes, yes.
In every respect of the word.
Are you really?
Absolutely.
Well,
yeah.
you should brighten up then on the wireless.
Okay, I'll try and do that.
Very interesting. But I just wanted to mention that.
All right. Thanks very much, Margaret.
That's all right.
Cheers,
Thank you very much.
Ta-ta. What a nice lady. Yes, squares. I do think that having travelled around a bit, that I can't think of any other town that is as green as we are. We do seem to have given over a very generous amount of space to greenery. It's almost incredible, really, that developers haven't come in and nicked it all from us.
I'm glad they haven't. Makes London a better place.
Yeah, it certainly does, yeah. It does. Absolutely. What's your favourite part of any park? You've never been to a park in your life.
I was in one today, but what, you want me to name an area of a park or a park?
I don't care. Here's Park Royal. I'm just filling in space between the ads. Park Royal. Hello, Keith.
Hi, good evening, Nick. How are you doing?
Keith, I'm all right, thanks.
I can see I was interested in your comments about the current political status of Gordon Brown, etc., earlier on in your programme.
Yeah.
And in that regard, I wanted to ask you your question to see if you concurred with my analysis here, is that, interestingly, in the previous Labour government, Wilson-Callaghan period, that once Wilson, the economy was doing quite well until he came into power. And then, after he and his Socialist Party destroyed the country, he could see that the what's-her-name was going to hit the fan, and so he turned tail and ran and left it to Callaghan. And, of course, Callaghan in 1979 bankrupted this country, and we had incredibly high taxes, huge foreign debt, etc., etc. And interestingly, when the same things happen again now under this second Labour government, Tony Blair saw that the muck was going to hit the fan, so he turned tail and ran and handed it to Gordon Brown, who's now become the most unpopular Prime Minister since I don't know when. And it's just a repeat of history, and goes to show that you shouldn't really let the country be run by a socialist government. Would you agree with me there?
You lost me for quite some time ago in your analysis there, Keith, because my interest in politics is relatively recent, and the period that you're talking about, I was still on rusks, I think.
Oh, I see.
Not
yeah,
quite.
That's the trouble, because people don't remember the last Labour government. And,
right. Yeah, to me it was a dim, distant... I almost remember practically nothing about it at all. I can remember when we had the 3-day week, vaguely, and I can remember when the lights went out at 6 a couple of days during the week. That was in Ted Heath's time, right?
Yeah, well, that's right. Well, Ted Heath was just before. It was only a year or so before Thatcher got in, wasn't it?
That's right. But previous to that, I have no knowledge, I'm afraid.
Really?
And history is absolutely my worst subject, because I've got the memory of a tsetse fly.
Well, I think that... Well, no, I'm realising your memory. I think it's very important that political history is taught, because...
well, why? Nobody ever learns from their mistakes. They just keep, as you've suggested, they just keep making the same ones over and over again.
Yeah, I can see that. I agree. But I could talk for hours about this, quite frankly.
Well, you should get your own show, mate.
Give me an invite, I'll come and do it. Yes, but I think it's tragic that we've got this current situation, high foreign debt now, and I mean, at the end of the major government, I mean, Thatcher could not invest in public services when she got in and got the name of Nasty Party, because she had to get us out of bankruptcy, this country out of bankruptcy.
Yeah, there was a certain amount of nasty medicine that we had to take at that point. Yeah, and it took somebody. It took somebody strong enough not to care what anybody said about
right.
to do it. You feel that now it's a completely different age, because the speed of communication is so much faster, and it's changed everything really. So that
digital age, yes, I agree.
So that people manage their profile and how the public perceive themselves much more. Not just politicians, but actors. And I mean, you can remember actors of old. They used to come on the TV for like an open-ended conversation, and it would cover all bases. Now, of course, if you go into a television studio as like an A-list actor, you know exactly what questions are going to be asked before you go in there, and you've got the power to edit out any parts that you don't like, and it's all so much more managed. And politicians have taken their cues from that, which is why Gordon Brown has apparently hired a spin doctor, by which they mean a PR man to manage his image, once every 2 weeks since the beginning of the year. Yeah. I mean, you wouldn't think there'd be any room for them anymore. Shoulder to shoulder they'd be standing.
No, I totally agree, and it's such hypocrisy, really, because it can't hide the fact, no matter what disguise that you put on, that this government is destroying this country, and it is history repeating itself. And I hope people listening should look back at the previous Labour governments and see the destruction they caused after periods of growth. And I hope that they wouldn't vote this lot back in again ever. But I do think we need a new political party that promotes good capitalism as opposed to bad capitalism.
Right.
I think
So you'll be voting for none of the above. All right. Thanks very much,
I will
Keith.
be. Cheers.
Cheers,
Thanks,
mate.
bye
Ta-ra.
now.
Yeah, it's not, you can lay blame at one political party or another, but really, we're just being blown along in the wind of global financial markets. They can't take credit for the ups. Neither are they totally responsible for the downs. We're just being blown along, and it doesn't really matter who's in power. I'm sure that they wouldn't have made the slightest bit of difference to the Tories or the Lib Dems or the Greens or the monster raving loony party. We'd be looking over the abyss right now, no matter who was in power, because it's really nothing to do with us. It's beyond our control, practically. They can tinker about in the margins and make a little bit of a difference here and a little bit of a difference there, but if we're being sucked down a plug hole, if the eddy of the world markets is so strong that America is being sucked down, and Japan, and all of the rest of the Western world, then we're going to go down along with it, no matter who's in power. So you can josh and jape and make party political points, but really, is it his fault? Probably not. Here is New Haw. Hey, Henry.
Hi there, Nick. Nice to speak to you again. I hope you're well.
Thanks very much.
I'd like to speak to you about these average speed camera things, which are definitely going to be installed, aren't they?
Well, you would think so, yeah. They say they're trialling it,
yeah,
but, yeah.
That means they're putting them up now, and they're just ready to flip the on switch.
Yes.
Anyway, but they will be installed, but don't forget that this has been briefly mentioned already. You get the fine, but you also get the 3 points on your licence.
Yeah.
They take 3 years to drop off. That means...
Now, have you ever had 3 points on your licence?
In 3 years by these speed cameras is disqualified.
Yeah. Have you ever had points on your licence?
Yeah, I passed my test in 1977.
Yeah.
So
did I.
I stopped driving in 1991 when I went skint in that recession, and I'd been caught for speeding by an unmarked car when I lived in Brighton. So I got done once for speeding, fine, and 3 points.
With an unmarked car?
Yeah.
Right, so all crime in Brighton had been cleared up at that point, and they were just, twiddling their fingers and wondering what to do.
Car. If it hadn't... I didn't see it coming. That was the only reason I got caught. Anyway...
so you had points on your licence?
I have had 3 points.
Okay, so what happened, because I've never had any points on my licence. Touching wood, loss and touching. What happens when you go and renew your insurance policy? Does it just go through the roof, or what happens?
I don't know, because shortly afterwards I went skint.
Oh, right, okay.
To the point where I could no longer afford a car.
Well, lucky old you.
At that time, I've either walked, because when I lived in Brighton, I mean, you just walk everywhere.
Yeah.
If it's raining, I get on the bus. I've got really good bus service in Brighton. But and I now live my life round the, if I can't walk there or go there on a bus, I won't go there. The trains are so expensive, I can't afford to go anywhere on a train. But what will happen with this average speed camera is that, don't forget, you've only got to get caught by it 4 times in 3 years, and bang, you're disqualified. That means,
essentially...
That means for nearly everybody, you lose your job. You
yes.
get a P45 immediately.
Essentially, Henry, you could get your licence taken off you in one trip just going to work.
Well, yeah, exactly. And then that means, bang, here's your P45. There'll be queues half a mile long outside every job centre, and the people that still manage to keep their licences, let's say you buy something like a chest freezer or a bed, and you say, oh, well, can you deliver it? They'll say, yeah, sure, for £250, because every time we go to London, we've only got a chance to do 2 drops instead of the usual 12 or whatever. Courier firms will go bust. Motorcycle couriers, they'll get the sack. You can't be a courier without a motorcycle. This is just insane thinking. So then what they will do, and I guarantee this will happen, when they've put half the city on the dole, like taxi drivers, is that, well, what do you do, mate? Well, I'm a taxi driver. Oh, let's see if we've got any vacancies for taxi drivers with no licence. No, it won't happen. So then what they will do is they'll say, well, look, we'll scrap the points, but we'll just keep the fine, or we'll double the fine or something. scrap the points. But that would be immoral, because if it used to be an offence that was worth 3 points, how come it would be no longer an offence worth 3 points?
Right, well, you're making it up and you're arguing with yourself, Henry.
I'm not. It's a self-destruct mechanism that they're installing here.
Right.
It's a cash cow.
I think the key is, it seems to be an hysterical overreaction to a slight infringement. That's the key. And that's I think, the reason that people are getting just a bit narked about this. Hey, Roger, I want you to look up the word narked in the dictionary. That's N-A-R-K-E-D. Look at him. Leaping into action. A flurry of activity. 8:16. LBC Travel with Helen Austin.
Thank you very much. Well, in Paddington, Porchester Road is partially blocked both ways. Fabulous.
0845 6060 973. Here is Kenley. Tony. Where's Kenley,
Right.
Tony?
Oh, pardon?
Where's Kenley?
Caterham, Croydon-ish way.
Oh, right.
You were asking about the, if your insurance goes up, the points and the licence.
Yeah, if you get points on a licence, what does that actually mean?
It means 60 quid and don't get more than 12, which I'll probably have if I get done for everyone that's outstanding. But anyway, when I got one initially, I was sort of told the insurance company, and they said, I can't remember the exact thing, but they said, is it an SP13 on the licence or SP15? And I said SP13, they said, oh, that's okay.
What's a SP mean?
I don't know. I mean, I can't remember. I think it was SP, but I don't know.
All right.
But it didn't affect the insurance.
It doesn't?
Well, that one didn't. I mean, perhaps the other one is for, if you're really sort of tunneling it in a 20-mile-an-hour limit or something.
Right.
I suppose it's degrees of.
Okay.
I don't know. Well, it didn't affect mine anyway. They said the insurance company knew the code, and when I said it's that one, they said, oh, that doesn't matter.
Well, what had you done?
Which time?
The one that they didn't mind about.
I think I was sort of doing 38 or something in a 30 mile an hour limit.
Right.
Camera that I didn't know was there. It was a sneaky one. They just put it in. And thank you for telling me about the cameras on the A13. That's made my day, that has.
Okay. Happy driving, Tony. Cheers, mate.
Cheers, bye.
I just assumed that if you got points on your licence, then it wouldn't just be the fine would be the financial penalty, that it would seriously affect your insurance, and they would double it or triple it or just make up a number and multiply it by 10.
Well, surely they would just put it up because you're a fast driver and they know that fast drivers are reckless, unless they're trained otherwise.
Yes, that's right. Well, that's what you would assume, because if you've been caught speeding, then the assumption would be that you are a nutter, and you're much more likely to get into an accident. And statistically speaking, that's probably true. But then, to test that theory, you'd have to find someone who has never drifted over the speed limit. And I would suggest that no such person exists. Not even Her Majesty the Queen keeps within the speed limits, and I know that because she blasted by me in a 40 zone doing 70. No, more than 70. Keep back! The big sign on the back of the window of her giant limousine. It said, keep back, keep up would be more like it. Who could do it? She's going to Windsor from from the palace, probably. I mean, that takes, an hour? Why does she have to get there so quick? If she doesn't obey the speed, if it's not good enough for her, it's not good enough for me. And I shall point the police in the direction of Her Majesty the Queen when they apprehend me. What are you doing, 40 and a 30 zones, huh? Here is Thurrock. Hello, Greg.
Hello, Nick.
Greg.
How are you?
I'm good.
Yeah. This speeding debate. The A13 that I travel that route quite often.
Yeah.
And I learned a long, long time ago just to take the foot off the gas and poodle along within the limit, and you don't get wherever you're going that much later than anybody else.
No, that is actually true. Yeah, but the point about what we're not talking about people who are we're not talking about crazy people who would want to do 50 mile an hour and cut people up. And
but they are out there.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, and they should be stapled to the ground with a nail gun.
But that's what these cameras are there for.
No, Greg, it isn't. What the cameras actually do is get people who've just accidentally strayed above the speed limit for a brief period.
No, you don't.
Yeah, they do.
No, you don't.
Yeah, they do. And when they're on a giant stretch of road and they're taking your average speed, say it's a 30-mile-an-hour zone. If you do 25 in a 30 zone, you'll have people behind you flashing their lights and honking their horns. So you've got to do 30, right?
Well, you don't have to.
Yeah, you do. Plus, if you're doing less than 30, it feels so slow you could get out and walk that speed. So you do the speed limit. And every now and again, unless, which is what I find myself doing all the time, unless you have your eyes glued to your speedometer, which can't be safe, you're going to drift above every now and again, and then you'll look down, you think, oh, I'm doing 33, I better slow down a bit. But because it's an average speed, if you look down and you think, oh, I've just done 33, how long have I been doing 33? I don't know. I'd better slow way down to 20. And then the bloke behind you is going to crash into you because he didn't expect you to be going that slowly, and it's just going to be awful.
Well, you're painting a scenario consisting of idiots.
Yeah, that's right. The masses are asses, Greg.
And people will soon learn that, when they get their 3, then 6, then 9 points, that soon pulls people up.
I'm not sure that that's true.
Well,
I'm not talking... you haven't listened to a word I've said. I'm not talking about people deliberately speeding. I'm talking about just accidental drifting above.
Well,
Cars are made incredibly powerful now. Cars want to go fast. Cars sit comfortably at like 60, 70, 80 mile an hour. That's their sort of comfort spot, and they will, left to their own devices, speed up to reach that.
And who's in charge of the car? Who's driving and in charge of that car? You are.
The driver.
Exactly.
Yes.
So if you can't control that huge beast, then you need a smaller car then, don't you? You're not capable of driving a powerful car at an adequate speed, then you should chip it in and get something a bit smaller.
I feel like I'm being talked to by my mum now. Well, if you can't control that car, then you're going to get a smaller one.
Because you're talking like a kid. You're talking like a 17-year-old.
Mum!
Yeah, exactly. If you can't judge, if you're not experienced enough to know that you're driving within the limit or outside the limit, then you need to go back and take a few lessons, because it's perfectly simple. There are speed limits and there are signs up there telling you what the speed limit is. And
yeah, I know all that. But see, when you're driving along, Greg, I don't know about you, but I like to look out the front window.
Yeah.
For the view and the road. That's what's out there. Yeah, the road. I don't like to have my eyes glued to the speedometer all the time.
No. Well, how long does it take you to check your speedo?
About a minute.
A minute? Well, you shouldn't be driving.
Well, I've got to change my glasses from my long vision to my short vision.
Well, then you shouldn't be
and then
driving.
Put the light on in the car.
You're coming up with all these pathetic excuses that impinge upon your masculinity.
Yeah.
To say, I must, I've got this car that can do so. It's a limit. It's not it's not a target. It's not like drive at 30 and nothing below.
Yeah.
That's the limit. Sometimes you'll have to drive slower than that, depending on the circuit.
Oh, I wouldn't think so.
Yeah. I've driven. I drive a
No, I'm sorry, Greg. If it says 30, I'm doing 30.
Well, that's entirely up to you. But when there's someone parked in the centre of the road and you drive into the back...
Well, that's a matter for them.
30, It's not a stealth tax. If people are stupid... they've done it with the bright yellow boxes and a sign saying there's a camera up ahead.
Yeah.
If people are stupid enough to get flashed and get their points, then, that's the only way you're going to teach people.
I'm assuming, Greg, you've never been flashed.
I have been flashed. And this thing where you say, well, if you drift over the just for a few seconds, and you do not get a ticket. I've been flashed about 7 times, and I have never received a ticket.
Right, well then you're just very lucky, aren't you?
Lucky.
People didn't think, oh, shall we, shan't we? There just happened to be no film in the camera.
No.
Well, you honestly think that somebody's at the at head office and they've got a picture of you doing 35 in a 30 zone and they're thinking, let's just let him off.
Well,
Come off
every
it.
single time I was lucky.
Yes.
And I have done that, and I have drifted off over, but not, I wasn't doing 45 in a 30 or anything like that.
Right. Well, you just, like I said, Greg, you've been very, very lucky.
Very borderline.
That's, in fact, so lucky, I want you as a charm on my bracelet.
As long as it's not on your bonnet, I don't mind. But I've been driving with the trucks that have got tacho and speed restrictor on it.
Yeah.
And at first you think, especially on the motorways, it's a bit golden. You can't do over 54. But you get used to it, and you just think, hey, you know what? I'm still going to get there, and if I get there 5 minutes later than anyone else, so what?
Right.
And I'm not consuming as much petrol. I mean, my car, I've got a huge, great big thing that's capable of, 120, 130 miles an hour. I never take it over 65. Even on the motorway, I'll touch 70 and I'll pull back, because you don't want to.
Oh, Struth, what do you drive? An Austin Minor? Like, do you drive in a flat cap on a Sunday morning?
No,
it's you!
I've got a big old Merc.
Right.
But the bigger the car is, I think the less inclined you are to drive fast. You just want to sit back and relax and take it easy. If you're buzzing around in a hot hatch, and the number of times, that I spend a lot of time on the road, and the things that you see is just frightening. I just think, I hold back and I think, a lot of men would, if they get overtaken, it's like they're challenging their manhood.
Yeah, absolutely.
They have heart attacks. And I just think, you know what? If you want to kill yourself, I want to be as far away from you as possible. But that's the...
Well, you know what will get you as far away from them as possible? Enormous speed.
No, it's their speed that I want to keep away from.
Right.
But we've been used to being able to go over the limit because the technology's not been there, and it's like a God-given right. But now that they're able
They're
to
taking our God-given right away. Listen, Greg, it's been a pleasure. Thanks a lot, but I've got to go. All right, this is LBC. Here's another example of that the masses are asses. Young people believe that driving while high on drugs is acceptable, but they say they wouldn't drink and drive. Heather Ward, an honorary research fellow at the University College, said a survey of 100 16-year-olds found that many believed it was safe to drive a moped after having taken drugs. OK, well, there's two things there. First of all, it's not safe to drive a moped, unless you're in a 1960s film set in Italy. Mopeds have tiny little wheels and a very low centre of gravity. Much lower than... no, wait, it's a high centre of gravity, isn't it? Whichever is the opposite of a Route Master bus. So, driving a moped isn't safe. Driving a moped stoned, not very safe at all. The perception among young people, she says, is that driving with drugs is perfectly okay, but driving while drinking is not. Oh, well, they've certainly made a good distinction there. Chislehurst. Hello, Rob.
Hello. I had a car a couple of cars ago that you could actually dial in the maximum speed for any given road.
Oh, really?
And it was only a simple little stalk. And it used to set the maximum at 30 or 40 or 60 or whatever. And it was great. And as soon as I got rid of that car and got one that didn't have it, I got done for speeding.
Cruise control.
No, it's not cruise control. I've got that now, but it's speed limit. It was called speed limiter. So it wouldn't hold you at that speed. It would only go up to that speed.
I've never heard of such a thing.
Yeah, it was on a Mercedes, but I think Renault do it as well.
But what if you were about to get kidnapped by international terrorists and you had to speed away?
If you stamped on the accelerator, similar to putting your brake on with cruise control, just cancelled it, and off you'd go.
Well, that sounds like an excellent idea.
It was great, and I'm sure that the technology behind it was just built. It's the same as cruise control. I'm sure it's probably about 50 quid's worth of electronics at the factory, and it was
and £200 on the options list. Yeah.
But I'd rather have that than all the rubbish extras and that they put on that you don't know that you need until you have them.
Yeah, heated steering wheels, that sort of thing.
Yeah, well, exactly. And the other point is that on your speeding, one speeding fine shouldn't affect your insurance premium. I phoned up my insurance. They said, "Yeah, okay, fine." And the guy was saying an SP30 that means speeding in a 30 limit, SP40 speeding in a 40, and providing you're not over a given range where it becomes a more serious offence.
Like 120.
Yeah. Yeah, if your cruise control's jammed, but no, if one shouldn't really make a difference, and if it does, switch your insurance company.
I suppose so. All right, thanks a lot, Rob.
All right, mate. Bye.
Cheers, mate. Ta-ra. I think I'd be hard-pressed to switch my insurance company, because being in show business, no one will touch me. And I asked one company, he said, why, what is the problem? Because you have to call around and say, oh, no, sharp end takes a breath, ooh, tricky, they say, no, can't do that. In show business, are you? Well, I mean, look at this, it's not show business, really, is it? I mean, it's not razzle-dazzle. I'm not lit up by the footlights here. I'm just, talking. That's not really show business, is it? I mean, I'm the least... ta-da! Person I've ever met. The room doesn't fall silent when I walk in. But still, because it was a branch of show, like a dim, distant cousin to show business, most agencies won't even look at me. Look at me, I said. What?
I was going to say, the most showbiz thing you get is a cup of tea at the start of your show.
I know, and only at the start as well. And I asked one of them, I said, why is it so difficult to get insurance being in the radio? And they said, oh, well, of course, you must know a lot of famous people. I don't know any famous people. I mean, I happened to be working at the time for a very famous person. And they said, oh, you probably, you'll give him lifts in your car. No, I wouldn't. He wouldn't be seen dead in my car, I wouldn't think. But they weren't having it. Here is, it's all about cars, isn't it? Anything else that you'd like to talk about? I'd be happy to talk about something other than cars, but I know that the merest mention of that four-letter word gets everybody hyperventilating and rushing to their phone. But if you've got something else you'd like to talk about, I don't know, anything at all. 0845 6060 973. It'd be nice to pepper the conversation with things that aren't car-related. Let's have Reading. Oh, David.
Hello there.
David.
Hi there.
Yes, David.
Right, I could stir up a hornet's nest with so many things about driving and parking and all sorts of things like that. I'm a member of the ABD, which is a superb organisation.
What is it?
Association of British Drivers.
What's that?
And I was first alerted to the ABD on a TV programme, and when they were talking about problems with driving and parking and tickets and things and inadequate speed limits.
What is ABD?
It's the Association of British Drivers.
Yeah, I know, but what's that?
What do? They have meetings, they try and have forums, they get statistics about the lies that the government put out about speed cameras and things like that. To give an example, I don't know if you've been driving long. Have you ever seen these light things that flash up with a happy face that say whether you've been speeding or not?
Yeah.
Right, well, they have been proven to save more lives than speed cameras.
You're actually right yes.
They cost less.
Significantly less. And you know what? Right? They look nicer.
They look nicer, they cost less than speed cameras, but the councils won't put them in because the councils don't get any money from them.
Correct.
It just tells people that you're speeding, and people actually slow down more when you see a nice happy face telling you that you're doing 38, and you actually slow down far more.
It's like being praised at school. It encourages you to do better, rather than being beaten for doing poorly, in which case you just try and find some way around it.
But the other thing that really annoys me, and one of your previous caller before the news irritated me, was when he was saying about, he's gone through 7 speed camera flashes and never had a ticket. Well, the simple reason he hasn't had a ticket is because there wasn't a camera in the Gazzo.
There was a lot of
what they call fake cameras, there's just a flash there.
Yeah.
But there isn't a camera. I mean, some of these towns, they've got sort of like 7 Gazzo sites, but only 2 cameras, because the camera's about £25,000 each.
Blimey.
But, it's like on the M40. Have you ever driven out of London on the M40?
Yes.
40 mile an hour speed limit. Have you ever done 40 on there?
Yes, it's infuriating.
You get lorries, buses, everything up your backside.
That's right.
And it's actually dangerous to do 40, and so many of these speed limits are artificially reduced just so that they can actually get more money.
More money, yeah. Well, I believe everything you're saying. I mean, other people might think you're just a raving lunatic. Like,
no, not at all. They should join the ABD. It's you can get the website. It's abd.org or something like that, and you get all about these loony councils that do all these stupid things and how they fine people and ticket people unnecessarily.
Right. Okay. Well, thanks for that, David.
No worries.
Calm down.
I'm driving, trucking, as I say.
All right. Cheers.
Cheers.
0845 6060 973. People do get, they're hyperventilating when they start talking about cars. And I think the reason is like I said, these are such small indiscretions. It's an indiscretion. You drive 33 in a 30 zone. So bloomin' what? But the fine that comes with it, the penalty, is so blown out of all proportion to the so-called crime committed that people don't think it's fair. That's the key. I mean, if you park in a handicap zone for an hour and somebody can't get in there because they're in a wheelchair and so they have to circle the block for an hour while you take up their space, then you should get fined. And anybody that does that will probably accept that, they had it coming. But these kind of small infractions of infractions, is that right? These small breaking of the rules comes with such gigantic penalties that just people don't think it's fair. That's the key. I think that life has ceased to become fair. Does that sound really weak and pathetic? No, Nick, you don't sound weak and pathetic. It's truth. The help I get here. Would you believe it? Pimlico, hello, Lisa.
Hi, Nick, how are you?
I'm well, thanks.
Yeah, this really is a topic. I mean, like your last caller, I could go on and on and on about the frustrations I have with driving in London. I have to drive in London every day. But I was really calling because I was quite infuriated by the previous caller you had on, who was sort of going on about, just don't go over the speed limit, and he's got a big car, he's never taken it over 65. I mean, he's the person who should have, any sort of powerful car taken away from him. He should get an electric car if he doesn't want to go over 65. I mean, the truth of the matter is that, you need to get from A to B. And if you're going to go a little over 30, you can't constantly monitor your limit, like you said. And it's so frustrating with the parking tickets, parking attendants you have to dodge and dive from and rushing. And it's a very frantic city to live in. So this is just an added frustration. And I do agree. I want to join the association, the British Association of Drivers, or whatever the other caller said, because something needs to be done about it. It builds frustration for everybody.
Yeah, it's just another wind-up.
It's a money-making scheme.
Yeah, I think so.
As far as I'm concerned, because the fines are not justified. I mean, on a parking ticket, for example, how can you justify £80, £40 for what?
Well, I know, but the thing is that they don't have to justify it. They just go ahead and do it anyway.
That's what's so frustrating. And it's like we're all sort of like mute, not doing anything about it. I mean, where's the Association of British Drivers when all this is happening?
Where's the Association?
Why aren't they rioting?
Where's the
If it was France,
well, I know, yeah, if it was France, yeah, absolutely. If it was America, well, it would never have happened in the first place.
Why does the British public allow this to happen?
We've sleepwalked, Lisa, into this and every other restriction on our personal freedoms over the last 10 years or so. We've just allowed it all to happen because...
And is that because we deserve it? Because, all just sitting down like, deaf mutes who are just going to allow, the powers that be to just keep, taxing us for driving fast. I mean, first of all, Nick, I really want to say, I think it's ludicrous that you're going to have speed cameras that can talk to each other to measure your average speed, because, I mean, to have computers, computers are not fail-proof.
No. And in fact, that sounds like exactly the sort of technology that Sierra Kana was fighting
I was
against
just
in
going to say that.
in the Terminator.
Exactly. Because they'll be taking over, and before you know it, it'll be a government run by computers. You're never going to get anyone to talk to. It's all going to be automated, and we'll be fine to the hilt.
That's right. 3 billion people dead. I've seen that movie. Thanks a lot, Lisa.
Thanks, Nick. Bye.
0845 6060 973. It's 8:45. LBC Travel with Helen Austin.
Thank you. Well, in the Paddington area...
Hi, honey. How are you? Super, thanks for asking. We've got a How Low auction running at the moment. It's this time for a 32-inch Samsung LCD television. It is high-definition ready. It's got a built-in Freeview. It is super fantastic. I think you will love it. To text your bid, text LBC plus your bid in pence to 88821. If it was a bid of, or shall we say, 99p, you would text LBC 99 to 88821. Bids cost £1.50 plus your standard network rate. Lines closed 7 p.m. Wednesday, 16th April. Bidders must be over 16. See lbc.co.uk for full terms and conditions. Remember, it's a reverse auction. The person with the lowest unique bid wins. Let's have a call on the M25. Hello, Phil.
Hello, mate. You all right?
Yes, good, thanks.
Yeah, I just wanted to ring because I know there's a few people that have sort of talked about the SP30 and the 3 points and whatnot.
Yeah, what does SP stand for?
It's something to do with the code of the offence. Now, I don't. Someone said it was SP30, was if it was in a 30 zone, but it's not. It's to do with the level of the offence, i.e., you know, like you said, if it's like 70 and a 40, or whether it's. I mean, I got an SP30 for 53 on a 40 stretch of dual carriageway.
Right. Which seems perfectly reasonable to me. Not having seen the prevailing conditions, I'll just make that judgment.
Well, of course. I mean, to be fair, as I say, you know, not trying to get out of it, but yeah, it was a 3-lane stretch of dual carriageway, clear day.
Right.
Just do 53 off of a 70 stretch.
Yeah.
Onto the 40. 53 caught by one of those vans which park up.
Oh, right, because they've got nothing better to do.
Yeah, and because it's a big sweeping arc as well. So of course he sits so that you kind of just as you get to the apex of the arc, he catches you, and you know you can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I was driving down a hill once. It was a really long hill, one of these hills that you have to put your car in second, and without which it will be doing 70. I swear this actually happened. A policeman jumped out of a bush at the bottom of this hill. He was actually hiding in a bush.
Yeah, I know. See, I don't think they're supposed to do that, but obviously they do, some of them, don't they? So, but anyway, these points, I'll be honest, it was the first time I'd ever had points, and, you know, you get them, and to be fair, it sounds silly. Yes, I should have told my insurance company straight away, but my renewal was up, I don't know, in a couple of months after the offence or whatever, and I thought, that's fine. Obviously, you have to declare them at renewal. Anyway, I got a letter through, for renewal, and my insurance company actually put in the letter, we know you've had 3 points given to you, so we also want not only an extra £350 for next year on top of next year's premium, but we also want £350 added on to what you've already paid this year.
Oh, blimey.
So they not only do they add it on to, you know, at the next renewal, if you don't declare it straight away, they will add it on, you know, kind of backdated effectively.
Right.
So it was one of those things. But it's stupid as well, because the points stay with you for 3 years.
Yeah.
But they stay on your licence for 4 years, which is ridiculous. Because if you know, when you get this accumulative points, where if you get 3, 9, 12, whatever it is, and you get a ban, that's a 3-year thing. But they actually stay on, physically written on your licence for 4 years. Now, mine have just expired, so I presume I send my licence away, and all someone does is put a nice, neat pen line through it, because that's all that happens. You send your paper part away, and someone handwrites in,
Really?
SP30, on this date, expires this date.
Right.
Now, that's in biro, so when I have to tell people in the future, no, I don't have any points on my licence, I'm a very good driver, they are going to see a nice black line drawn through SP30 given on this date. So
well, that looks very official, yeah, I bet.
Scarred for life if you get points.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
So you had a fine of essentially 700, getting on for 800 quid.
Yes, pretty much.
And so presumably that you will have learnt your lesson and you've never sped since.
Well, course, because I went from my little Toyota Celica to one of those Vauxhall Monaros, which is 6-litre V8, save the planet and all that, you know. But
Right.
but my argument is I commute from the south coast to London every day, and the thing is, what I don't get is why we can't have adjustable speed limits. I mean, I'm travelling home from London to nearly Portsmouth about 10:30 at night each night, and the A3 is a pretty clear road, but I don't see why I should have to be kind of forced to travel at 70 miles an hour when there's not another soul on the road.
Yeah, I quite agree with you. I think 100 would be a reasonable speed limit, because above 100 things start to get a bit hairy.
A bit wobbly.
Yeah. About 100, you are fully wide awake, am I right?
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, it's like anything, isn't it? If the cars weren't designed to go, if you look at the average car, like you said, the average car that's built these days, saloon car, whatever you want, you know, does 130, 135, whatever. That's
Easily,
that's what the top speed is. So, why is the top speed limit, when cars have to be built to a capability, why is the top speed limit almost half of that?
Because
You know,
it's
on certain occasions.
Yeah, because it's still the same as when cars were built from plywood.
Yeah, and they could hardly reach 70.
Yeah,
you know.
and the bag in the car that would stop your forward motion would be your granny in the front seat.
Well, exactly. But I mean, I'm all for the 20-mile-an-hour zones, you know, outside schools and all of that kind of stuff. But on the open motorway and open dual carriageway, after 9 o'clock at night, why 70 miles an hour?
Yeah, I'm fully on board with that, Phil. I think you're absolutely right. Thanks a lot, mate.
Okay, cheers,
ta-da.
mate.
And when you're doing 70 a mile upon endless mile, it feels like you could walk that fast, right? So that should, all motorways should be 100 miles an hour, just in order to keep you awake. Because I don't know about you, but you drive for 3 hours at 70, and well, you just snooze right off, don't you? You're in La La Land. I've spent many hundreds of miles fast asleep while at the wheel of a car. That's not entirely accurate, but you do. You start to drift off, don't you, driving at 70? It just gets so... I think, I've said this before, I think there's something about the speed of 70, the speed at which things go by, that is somnambulistic.
People on long journeys should always remember to take regular breaks.
Oh, shut up. Or drive at 100 miles an hour, and at which point your juices are flowing such that you stay bright and wide awake, like your eyelids are propped open by matchsticks. You are fully alert at 100 miles an hour, and that's the actual truth. You won't fall asleep doing 100. You will fall asleep doing 70. So in that respect, it's much safer to do 100. Plus, the modern technology of cars, as we were saying, that chap, the technology of your modern automobile, much safer than it was when the current speed limits were put in place. I mean, skateboards these days could do 150. Here is Pinner. Oh, Joan.
That's me.
It sounds like you.
Yes. Please, Nick, will you get 'em off cars? I'm sick to death. It's mind-bendingly boring.
Oh, moan.
That's right. Night after night, they go on and on and on about it.
It's the only thing anyone will call about.
Eh?
It's the only point at which you get a full board. You talk about cars. Talk about anything else. I'll talk about 20, 30 things on this show, and not one call. You talk about cars, and everyone rushes to the phone.
I know. Oh, but God, they're so boring. And what I'd really... Can I suggest a subject?
Absolutely.
Misuse of the English language. Why are we always...
blimey, you talk about boring, Joan. Misuse of the English language.
Why are we talking with all the time?
How do you mean?
Because the little word to has dropped out of the language. We're all talking with.
With? Use it in a sentence.
He talks with her. He doesn't talk to her, he talks with her. And the start of this was Humphreys and Snow. They started doing it because they'd been on a visit to America, you know, and they sort of felt clever about it. And so it's become part of the language. Now, I know you've got a lot to say on this subject, which would be really interesting.
And he would give me, and you've got such a marvellous sense of humour that, I chuckle away there, but God, I can't chuckle away with this car stuff.
Oh, come on, Joan, force yourself. You've got to have a laugh, ain't ya?
You sure have. But you're driving me to Radio 4.
Oh, don't say that, Joan. It's been lovely talking with you.
Yeah, it's like... Oh!
Ta-ta. 0845 6060 973. I don't know anybody who says that. Who says talking with someone? I don't talk with you.
I blame hip-hop music at the risk of being controversial.
Yeah, that's right. It's Jay-Z's fault. Not only did he ruin Glastonbury, but he's ruined the English language as well. Yo, mother. You should call your mother more often. He's, where was I? Oh, no, I'm all discombobulated. Oh, with. Only if you're talking at the same time to an audience do you talk with someone. Like, we would both be talking to this audience with each other, but not to each other. That's, to. LBC.
Yes,
It's LBC.
Are you trying to be funny? Because I'm all out of laughs.
That nice lady before the news, she was right. There is too much mangling of the English language, and I think the older you get, the more disturbed you get about it. Now, talking with... thanks, Abigail. Talking with as opposed to talking to, I understand where you're coming from. My pet peeve is people who say H, not H. Now, I know that one of our own does that, but he's just doing it as a joke. But I actually heard on BBC HD channel, one of those irritating presenters say, this is BBC HD. He said that. I couldn't believe it. I felt like picking up the phone and calling to complain. Much good that would have done me. Oh, by the way, while we're on the subject, the last ever Sopranos was shown last Friday, something like that.
Absolutely.
And this stupid, moronic guy who does the in-between programs thing, the continuity announcer. Okay, if you haven't seen the last episode of The Sopranos, it ends with silence. No music. You're just dropped off a cliff, basically, and you're left hanging in mid-air, stunned that this thing has just ended. It's the greatest ending of any television programme in history. And what you're left with is basically all the thoughts of what's happened, what could have happened, what might have happened, and then your thoughts drift back to the entirety of the series that you've just seen, and all the ins and outs, and basically you're just processing the information in silence, as the makers intended. But that's not good enough for Channel 4. They had to fill in the silence with some cheesy bloke who sounded like he was auditioning for a job on radio, who came on and said, coming up next on Channel 4, and that was one of the most annoying things I've ever seen on television. You idiot. Somebody should visit him with a nail gun. I mean it. Anyway, that's one of my pet peeves. Those stupid grinning fools who interrupt television programmes just when you're absorbing the end of it. They've got to stop that. And we've sleptwalked into allowing them to do that too. Sleepwalked. We have sleepwalked into it. Along with all of the other inhibitions on our liberty to enjoy and, have pleasure. Somebody in television land has got to put a finger of complaint up and say, hang on a minute, we're irritating our audience, who are just going to leave us the moment that they can, because we're irritating them all the time. And the time will come very rapidly when we can leave them. We'll be able to download all of the programmes that we want and bypass the current carriers. Because the worldwide wait is, you can do it now. You don't have to watch, I don't know, what's a hot series at the moment? CSI or any of these programmes that TV companies spend millions and millions of pounds putting them in their schedule. Which is it? Schedule? Schedule.
I say schedule.
You say schedule? All right. In their lineups. You can download them off the net. You don't have to watch their adverts. And if people start to do that in great numbers because they're irritated by these shouty, smiley people at the end, ruining the thing that you've just seen, then they're hastening their own demise. Please, stop doing it. It's too annoying. And I've seen Sopranos before. I've seen the whole thing before, but I wanted to watch it again because I didn't have closure. I just wanted to watch it again. And I was waiting for them to screw up the end. I knew they'd do it. And I would almost have been disappointed had they not done it, had they just left us alone in peace. It's like having somebody trying to sell you insurance at a funeral. You just don't do it. Don't stamp all over it. You know, wait for it to finish, and then do whatever it is that you need to do. It's like somebody putting the sticker for McDonald's on the Mona Lisa's face. Well, you can still see a bit of it. It's just insane. It's art. Leave it alone, please. Or we just won't watch your TV channels anymore. And you might sort of scoff at that at the moment because, you know, what choice do we have? Well, the choice exists now. And if it exists now, you'll have to think that in 5 years' time, you'd be able to download entire programs from the web in a matter of seconds. And people will be doing it as second nature because the main TV companies aren't treating things with the respect that they deserve. I think it will become like... It will seem a bit like that's what poor people do. I'm sure that that's how it will become. That you only watch television if you've got no other means of accessing your programs. I think it will become like there will be a sort of a digital divide. Old people and poor people will watch television. Everybody else will bypass the television providers and get their product direct because it doesn't come with all this annoyance attached to it. I'm absolutely certain that that's going to happen. And by having these grinning fools shouting over the end of everything, over the end of every television programme, it's just annoying. Am I the only person? Back me up here, Raj. Has it not even occurred to you?
Being a fan of The Sopranos, I didn't see the Channel 4 version. I saw it was on another channel. Actually, I don't even think... No, I did what you do, if you do it, and I saw it elsewhere.
What are you saying? Oh, so elsewhere, see? Bypassing all of those irritants and annoyances, yes.
And having been a fan of it, and still am a fan, if someone had talked over just within 3 seconds of that last scene, it would have killed the whole moment.
Well, it killed the series, basically. What they said was, this is not of any great worth. We don't care about this, nor do we really care about you who are watching it. We'd much rather... In fact, it's almost as though we haven't thought about it, so you just go ahead and shout over the end of it like you do everything else.
The other great annoyance is when they start scheduling these programmes later and later.
They put the last Sopranos episode of all time, starting at midnight. I mean, that just says everything, everything you need to know. They just don't care. I was infuriated. I really was, actually really properly angry that they had one of those grinning fools shout all over the end of that programme. I couldn't believe it. Well, actually, that's not true. I could believe it. That's the sad part, is it's just par for the course. They don't even wait till the programme finishes anymore. They flash up, they take up like a quarter of the screen with a flash ad to the programme that's coming next during the final scenes of the programme that you're watching. They don't even wait till it ends, till the credits come up. I mean, so it's like I say, it cheapens the product. It makes it look like it's a cheap piece of rubbish, right? It makes it look as though, well, you don't have a choice to watch programmes properly. So if you're stuck with us, then we'll just abuse you because we know that you can't see it anywhere else. That's the kind of feeling that I'm getting. And it's almost... proper television has started to feel a bit like it's the cheap, old-fashioned way of watching TV. And, you know, Apple has got this box called Apple TV, and now they are renting movies on their iTunes website. And programs as well. You can buy them for $1.89 or whatever it is. This is the beginning of something that's going to be much, much bigger. People will be getting all of their programs direct from the manufacturers. Because why sell it to individual TV companies when you could get, say, 50p from, from 1 million people? That would amount to more. It's definitely the way it's going to go, and I think that TV companies, by treating us like we don't matter, are hastening their own demise. Anyway, that has nothing to do with what I was talking about. All that started with H. These are the ways in which people mangle the English language. Talking with, not talking to, like that nice lady said before the news. H drives me up the wall. Got any more? Just so as we don't have to talk about cars all night. Mangling the English language. 0845 6060 973. Pet peeves. Here is Catford. Trixie.
Hello. Right, caught me just before the ad break. Okay, it's schedule, first of all.
Is it?
Yes. Don't forget I've done some broadcasting too. Schedule is British.
Right.
Schedule
and schedule's
is
American. I
In
could never
fact,
remember which is which.
I mixed it up. I put two of them into a program, which was a bit confusing.
So schedule.
Schedule is British. Schedule is American. That's what I was taught anyway, all right?
But then lieutenant and lieutenant.
Okay, lieutenant is American,
Yeah.
lieutenant is British, and I don't know why it's lieutenant, it just is. Go on, try me in some more. I'm not brilliant, but I can...
Potato and potato.
Oh, well, I mean, that's pretty obvious, isn't it? It's obviously potato.
Yes. Anyway.
Yeah, I'm absolutely mad, crazy about these ruddy things that these titles that go on over the best programs. I have screamed, I have shouted, I have practically thrown things at the television set. In fact, that was one of the reasons why I stopped watching television 6 months ago.
That's going to be a common theme. I think people are going to stop watching television.
Yeah,
they're going to continue watching their programs, but they're just going to get their programs from less annoying sources.
I have been so freaked out because, if you want to watch a movie, I like to watch the titles at the end. I like to see who's who in the cast list.
Well, it's not just that. It's that the end part, the 5 minutes when the credits go up, that is part of the film because it's part of the emotion of a film. You're laughing or crying or, you're stunned or whatever it might be, and you want to sit in those juices and just wallow for a while. You don't want to be shouted at by some moron who's trying to advertise something that you don't want to watch.
No, Nick. No, it's appalling the way they do that. And it's caused me no end of stress, and I just couldn't take it.
Yeah, that's right. It's just one more stressful event during the day. Like we need another one of those.
Exactly. That's why you should stop talking about cars. And I tell you, we could talk about health if you like.
Oh.
No, not health.
No.
All right, then. I think you've got a break to go to.
I do. Thanks very much,
That's
Trixie.
all right. Take care.
Always the professional. 0845 6060 973. It's 9:15. LBC Travel with Helen Austin.
Thanks. Well, impact.
Oh. What was all that? What was all that? It's 9:18. Am I missing something? This is me, right?
Yeah.
Well, what were you... you're freaking me out. You're like, you've got to say this by this time, and just give the time check and say LBC, and then shut up by 9:29 and 55. And that's ages to go yet. I thought we were about to go to the news. I'm sitting here panicking, thinking, what have I got to say now? Have I got to do my bit now?
I was just explaining it to you because otherwise the instructions...
Forthcoming attractions?
In case of the instructions on the screen weren't clear enough for you.
So sarcastic. It's just awful. There's conditions I have to work in. It's shocking. Right, so that's a forthcoming attraction. Coming up on LBC, I'll be saying it's 97.3 and it's 9:30. At about 9:30. Telling me 10 minutes before it happens. Like I'm going to remember that. Marble Arch. Hello, John.
Hello, Nick. God, closing off this, sorry.
I'll come back to you.
No, don't go. First of all, do you know they're showing Arrested Development on the telly again?
Yeah, I didn't really find that funny.
Didn't you? It's the funniest, it's so fast, and it's just the funniest thing on telly. Watch it again.
I'll give it another go.
Right, now, talking over the end of the programme, there's an episode of The Simpsons where they've stayed up all night to watch a film with Troy McClure. You probably don't like The Simpsons either.
No, I do.
They've stayed up all night to watch episodes of Troy McClure, right? And it gets right, and he goes, and it's about Moses or something, or not Moses, about Noah with the ark. And Troy McClure does the voice. He goes, all I want to see is... And just at that exact moment, when it gets to the end of the film, we watch it for about 5 hours, they squeeze the screen, and that, was it Trent, whatever his name is, comes on and just talks right over Troy McClure. It's the same as The Sopranos.
Right.
And the other thing, I'm talking a million miles an hour, right, to look at it all out. The other thing, that woman said about talking with you.
Yes.
Right, they've just shown on, like, when I get in from work, there's the Silence of the Lambs things, right? And it's Clarice Starling talking to Dr. Lecter.
Yeah.
I think they're both trying to do each other for ridiculous voices. And she goes, when she first goes to see him in that glass cell, she goes, may I talk with you, Dr. Lecter? And that's the only time I've ever heard that. I've never heard that anywhere else before, talking with you, and it's really aggravating. But right now, after...
Well, don't go out and kill anybody, eh?
No, I won't. I'll tell you what I feel like today. I've phoned 2 radio stations today. I've never done it before. Right, and the other thing as well, before I go any further, is I've listened to LBC more since you've been back on doing this slot. I couldn't bear it before. You used to come on, and I couldn't turn it off quick enough. It's like if a Sting record comes on, I have to turn it off immediately, right?
Sting?
Sting, anyway, so that's not digressing. But since you've been back on this slot, it's just excellent.
Oh, John, I won't lie to you, mate. I'm fantastic.
That's what I like about your honesty. Like, sort of, there's certain, like, sort of broadcasters that you just can't, take to. And I've driven the cab for 25 years. I've crossed paths with you, in different shows over the years. And it's a great show. Anyway, apart from that's that. But what I rang up another radio show today because I was so incensed about this average speed camera thing. I'm not going to try to make it. I know everybody's going on about it. But I drive home from... if I'm going home for the night, I come down Northumberland Avenue and turn left. At that point... to the Goresbrook interchange, right, there are about a 12-mile stretch of road, there are 17 speed cameras. 17 in a 12-mile stretch, right?
Right.
And when you get to the bit of Canning Town, that's the 13th one that you pass. And the rest of the road are the other 4, spread out over 4 miles. And what they're doing now, I've been watching them put them gantries up for a couple of, about 4 weeks now. And I thought, what are they doing there? Are they just doing that to keep an eye on it? But they're popping up everywhere, them things.
Now, are these Gatzos, or are they tiny, evil-looking, tiny little cameras?
It's like a lamppost with a long arm coming out, and it's got, like, sort of, perhaps 5 or 6 cameras.
Right, okay. So presumably they're not individual speed cameras you get flashed when you go by. They're one of these average...
It's the same as we have on the motorway, but they're a bit more sort of permanent looking. You know the ones on the motorway when they've got roadworks, they don't look permanent. These are permanent. And they're at the little slip roads when you come off the slip road. There as you go into the tunnels, as you come out the tunnels, and like some of them are only like sort of literally 100 yards apart.
And they look like they kind of look evil, don't they? They look like the...
Well, they are. He's finished. I was looking, I thought, what on earth are they, what are they doing there? They can't be like the average speed camera.
Yeah. It's like the apparatus of an evil organisation.
Well, it is. And see, the thing is, right, where I drive that road, I mean, like most of us, if you get the flashing sign that comes up and says, slow down.
Yeah.
You think, I didn't realise I was doing that.
I bypass one of those every day, and... when I go by it, it's my, I feel it, like a desire not to make it flash.
I share you, and I'll do the same. There's on the embankment at Blackfriars, as you come down the slip road to go into the underpass, they've now reorganised the junction, so, but what used to happen was, I don't know if you know, you come down from Blackfriars, there's a slip road that joins where people come out.
Wow, you don't have to get too detailed, John.
Right, anyway, what it is, right, it was one of them sort of ones where people got shunted, so they've sort of made it into a definite left turn now. But what it is, you come up to this left turn, and even if there's no other traffic on the road, the minute you turn left and accelerate, it comes on. It flashes slow down, and you could be doing like 2 miles an hour and it will flash.
Right.
having said that, you come out of the tunnel, and I'll look at it, and I think, I'm going to make sure that doesn't flash.
Yes.
And I go past, and I think, yeah, well...
Because it's almost like a stroke, isn't it? It's like, it's positive reinforcement, yeah.
Yeah, and they're treating you like a grown-up. Because the majority of people, I've driven a cab on for 25 years, and the majority of people on the road, they just need a gentle reminder. They're not the lunatics. They're not the like...
We're not crazy people, out of control, no.
We're people that want to get home from work,
Yeah.
and like, oh, I didn't want to go that fast, I really, oh, bother. And we just need that gentle reminder.
Exactly. It does work. They do work for us, but they don't work for them because they don't come with a fine attached.
Well, exactly, and that's... I mean, one of them cameras cost... I think they cost £3,000. The Gatso cost...
about 10 times as much.
30,000.
Yeah.
And Bromley Council a while ago said we're going to put the flashing reminders in, and Ken Livingstone said, no, you can't. We want you to put the cameras in because they said, but no, we've proven. Like that other guy said, the ADHI, guy. He said
close.
Yeah, the American Dodgeball Association of America.
Yes.
He said,
Furious British People organisation. Yeah.
Put these in. He said, well, we've proven that they actually do reduce road deaths.
Yes, I believe that's actually true, yeah. OK, well, listen, John, thanks very much, all right. Drive carefully, keep your eyes peeled. Cheers, ta-ra. 0845 6060 973. Yeah, I go by one of those every day, and it's on a stretch that it's like a back road. Nobody hardly ever goes down this road. It's like an industrial part of town. There's no pedestrians, nothing like that. And it's a very straight road with no cars on it. And so, the tendency is to drift up a little bit because you've been crawling until you got there, and you'll be crawling after you've left that little stretch. So, just to do 40, what's the bloomin' difference? And they stuck one of these signs up, which gives you, well, it's not exactly a smiley face, but it gives you, it bursts into life and tells you what the speed limit is, and says slow down, something like that. And so now I just feel you just get like a warm glow all over if you can slide by it and not make it burst into life. It's like getting an A on a test. It is, as opposed to getting your knuckles rapped. What time is it? 27. Oh, it's getting close, Raj. Do you want to tell me my instructions again? Here is Surbiton. Hello, Paul.
Nick, evening.
Paul.
This issue of talking with and talking to, I've got to take issue with previous callers. I think talking with is a lot softer. It suggests a dialogue rather than some kind of sort of didactic addressing, like a lecturer would talk to students.
Right.
With a conversation one-to-one, you're speaking with someone in a dialogue, are you not?
Yes, I suppose so.
Do you see what I'm saying? I speak with a lot of people in the line of my woman. They're normally talking clock and that kind of thing. No, but I speak with a lot of people, and I just find it softer, and it just seems to be increasingly more... I don't regard it as an Americanism or anything like that. I just find it a lot easier. I don't think of myself as talking to someone. I'm talking in a dialogue with them, and that's how I've always... But
then if you think about it, talking with someone actually means that you're talking at the same time, as though you're reciting poetry.
No, if you're going to be... If someone's going to be really pedantic, yes, but I just... in terms of, say, a telephone conversation, I just like to think you're not, addressing them, you're not didactically dictating, right, I'm going to, good to talk to you. Yeah. I think that's almost like a downer. It's like talking down to someone.
But I think it is an Americanism, because they go one louder, and when they're meeting with someone, they'll say, it was nice to visit with you.
Oh, no, I wouldn't. That's different, Nick. That's far too.
I've gone too far now, Paul.
Yeah. No, you've overstepped the mark. But in telephone conversations, which are still important, I think I use it. I use it anyway, and I don't feel conscious using it as an Americanism. I just prefer it.
I don't like talking to people on the telephone.
You don't like talking to or with. All right, Nick.
Thanks, mate.
See ya.
Ta-ta. 085. Always try to avoid it. Talking to people on the telephone. It's the devil's instrument. 0845 6060 973. I'm all of a quiver now because the time's coming up, Raj. Isn't it exciting? Yeah. So tell us a bit about your jolly holidays. Fill in the next 30 seconds. Go ahead. Amaze me.
It was really good.
Yeah, really good.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I didn't eat as much junk food as I thought I might.
Oh, yeah. Did you have a hero?
I didn't know. I was going to get a cheesesteak as well, but I didn't.
But we all need a hero. Everybody. No,
No, unfortunately not.
just me.
I saw some good films on the plane, though.
Oh, yeah, like what? Jesse James? No? This is LBC 97.3. It's 9:30.
It's going extremely well.
You bet your life it is. Right, so mangling the English language. I've got H for H, which never fails to grate. Talking with, not talking to. We seem to be undecided about that. Very controversial issue. There's issue and issue. Which is it?
Issue.
That seemed to be a combination of the two. Issue.
Issue.
Yeah, what's that issue? Surbiton. Hello, Phil.
Hello, Nick. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Yeah, good. The point I want to make about this scheduling of various, I say scheduling, not scheduling, of various TV programmes. ITV have got this Pushing Daisies programme.
Okay, I read about this.
You've seen it on the website?
No, I haven't seen it. I was reading about it in the paper.
Yeah, it's 9 episodes.
Right.
And they've decided because Euro 2008, they can only fit 8 of them in, they're going to scrap episode 2.
That's just the silliest thing I've ever read
it is.
in my life, yeah.
What's worse is they said that when they come to repeat it, they'll put episode 2 in. Now,
Well, I thought that they said that they'll play episode 2 sometime later in the year.
So how does that fit in the whole...
I've no idea.
The whole arc of episode 1, 2, 3...
You'll have to tape them all and then wait until some point later in the year when they broadcast episode 2. What's this programme like?
Well, it's actually pretty good. It's a very clever idea. I don't want to spoil it for anyone that's planning to see it, have taped it, and they're going to see it later. But the whole idea is that this...
Oh, he's going to spoil it?
Can kill someone by a touch.
Right.
They can bring them back to life by a touch.
Okay.
Just by touching them.
Now, that sounds ludicrous, but of course, from the silliest ideas can come the greatest art.
Indeed.
Let's assume that it's not great art because it's on ITV. We'll just, that's a guess.
If you get rid of episode 2 as a scheduler, what are you saying to the to the general public?
That they don't care about you. They have no respect for you.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's insane. I mean, what if... Get me... do we have the TV listings in there, Raj? Any TV listings at all? I just want to see what's on ITV tonight. Let's see if they couldn't find another hour in that list of excellence that they'll be broadcasting on a daily basis. You know, at some point in the next 9 weeks, do they not have one extra hour that they could put in the extra episode of this programme on?
I mean, how often, when they've got a show like this, they'll say, right, what we'll do is we'll have back-to-back 2 episodes.
Yeah, exactly.
You could push the news out by an hour. That's never going to be a problem.
No, you're quite right.
It's with BBC One anyway.
OK, at 9 o'clock tonight, cops with cameras, miniature recording devices on the uniforms of police officers, allow viewers an insight into their work across the UK as they carry out raids, round up suspects and continue the constant fight against crime. Cops with cameras tonight at 9 on ITV. I rest my face. This is followed with the news with Trevor McDonald, and then a programme called Benidorm. I wonder what that is. Hang on a minute. Benidorm, Season 2, Episode 3 of 8, Holiday fever takes its toll as Madge seems determined, despite Janice's pleas, to marry... I don't need to go on, do I? Teenage kicks.
I'll listen to you, it's easier.
Vernon makes up for his shortcomings as a father by sorting out the bully who's blah, blah, blah. Oh, and then Dexter. Dexter is actually excellent. I've been... I'm so pleased that there's another drama worth watching on TV. Dexter is great. OK, well, thanks for that, Phil. I did read about that. ITV, they've bought this series, presumably from America, Pushing Up Daisies. It's American, right? All the best things are. And, I don't know, maybe they don't have a diary over there, but they needed to squeeze a 9-episode programme into 8 weeks. So, I mean, stupid people like me might want to put 2 episodes back to back so that it could be done. But they thought, oh no, we'll just not show episode 2. You see what I mean? This is an example of TV companies that are pushing their clients away because they don't care about you. It's as though they're not remotely interested. They just assume, because they think you're stupid, you'll just put up with any old rubbish and keep coming back for more. Well, times have changed. Times will change very significantly from this moment on. The internet is at its infancy, and over the last 10 years, life has changed beyond all recognition, hasn't it? Things are, and the pace of change isn't slowing down, it's speeding up. And dinosaur companies like the people that are running our television channels, they're just going to get swept aside because people aren't going to be putting up with this anymore. We'll be sticking out our heads out of the window and saying we're as mad as hell, and we're not going to put up with it anymore. Isn't that right, Betty?
Oh, yes. Good evening.
Hello, Betty.
I'm not going to talk about cars.
Oh, good for you.
From 1969, when the first man went on the moon, I've been testing every time a rocket's gone up from Russia or England or anything, and the weather always changes. Well, they sent that thing up to attach to that one that's all up there, at the 1st of March.
Oh, yeah.
And what did we do? We had snow at Easter. Every time it changes the weather, this is to my intention.
Right. Well, you're
on
making
the news lunchtime, there was a gentleman on, I don't know whether he was a scientist or what, but apparently he said that all these things that are going up are touching the, planets and all this, and metal and lots of things have been found on the ground. And apparently, when the man first went on the moon, he lost a glove. And it took years, and it was eventually found. And I test this every time a rocket goes up, our weather changes.
Right. Well, you're making a lot of sense, Betty.
Pardon?
Keep making notes.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, my dear.
Oh, see, that's the trouble. You always switch us off.
I always
And
switch
when
you on.
silly Charlotte gets on,
Yeah.
and stupid children,
Right.
you keep talking to them.
Right, well, OK, let's have a chat then. So you think that rockets have actually made it snow last Easter?
Well, it changed the weather, didn't it? That's what I always say.
Well, that's...
I always say
that's a good
Clive
point,
too,
yeah.
and he agrees with me.
Yeah, well, it sounds like it makes perfect sense. Well, like I said, you keep making notes, and if anything develops, let me be the first to know, all right?
Yes.
Thanks, Betty. Oh, wait, what a nice lady. 0845 6060 973. You had problems because we had a gigantic snowfall. You were just coming back. You were telling me your little story, and it was so interesting.
Boring!
Telling me your little story about coming back from America, and you were diverted.
Indeed, I was, because there was a bit of snow at Heathrow, so I had to be diverted to Manchester, and then I had to sit on tarmac in the plane still.
This is after a how long flight?
It was 7 hours.
From Philadelphia?
Yep.
PA?
Exactly. And so I sat in the plane, on the tarmac in Manchester for 4 hours, 3 hours.
Because it was... because it was
snow.
It was diverted because of a snowstorm in London.
Exactly.
A snowstorm. I'm not kidding. The snow was... Because presumably you didn't see it, right?
I saw some of it and it just looked like a bit of frost.
Exactly. It was so thin on the ground, you could see the grass through it. That they would say that it was a snowstorm is laughable. I've got more snow in my freezer. And they diverted the plane. I just can't believe it. That's just comical. I mean, I know that the country grinds to a halt if there's a little light shower, but I didn't realise that they actually diverted planes from London. I mean, that's just... I can't believe it. I mean, Philadelphia, in the winter, 10 feet of snow, right? I bet they don't close the airport. Bruce Willis. He was running about on the tarmac in a vest.
And no shoes.
Exactly.
But then he was John McClane, so...
I'm stunned by that. So you were on... God, that must have stank, that plane, because you're all ready to get off, aren't you?
Everyone's just getting cabin fever in there.
Yeah. And so you had to sit on the tarmac for 3 hours.
And then we flew down to London, which took about an hour. Then, because we couldn't land, because there was nowhere to land, so we were circling round and round. Then finally we landed, and we sat again on the tarmac because there was no place to park the plane. And then finally we parked the plane.
They sort of reverse into a space?
No, but the funniest bit is then we finally found somewhere to park the plane, but then there were no steps to take us off the plane.
Oh. That's just awful. And when you were on the tarmac for the extra 3 hours, were they giving you drinks and food and, knickknacks and...
They gave us some snacks and they turned the entertainment back on. So I sort of watched a few episodes of some TV shows, and then I slept some more, and then I just hoped it would end soon.
Presumably you were in the back with the cattle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I could see the upgraded bit just in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Through the curtain.
Yeah.
Those people were, they couldn't care less. They were probably drunk. Peals of laughter coming through the curtain. Meanwhile, you're sitting there with your knees around your ears, trying to enjoy another complimentary bag of peanuts. And you know what that does to you? Awful. Here is Ickenham. David.
Hi, I was just listening to your last caller, and on that dreaded Sunday morning, I flew in from Sri Lanka, and we arrived as scheduled at 8:30 to be told we had a 120-minute wait in the stack because there'd been a few millimeters of snow and they had to close the runway for a couple of hours, and we did exactly the same thing. We went off to Manchester. It was a busy place that morning, and we sat on the plane for 4 hours, and they wouldn't let anybody off the plane, and the plane ran out of water. There wasn't any food on board, and we were traveling with our two little kids. And, I just think it's appalling that the place has a little trickle of snow and grinds to a halt.
There can't be another major city in the world that can be so paralysed by such a microscopic amount of snow. It's comical.
What we need is to get more people from the EU, much more Polish people in, who can run the place properly for half the cost.
Right.
Get rid of all those people, and we'll be fine.
Well,
that's what I think.
It's something to think about. All right, thanks a lot, David.
All the best.
That is, apart from anything else, you would think that a plane would have exactly enough fuel to get it to its destination and no more. So to come to London and then go to Manchester and then presumably it didn't switch the engines off, right? They were just...
It did refuel in Manchester.
Oh, it did? Right. The pilot remembered to bring his Nectar card. 9:45. LBC Travel with Helen Austin.
Thanks very much.
We love you long time.
And I really mean that, Nigel.
Hello?
Yes, Nigel.
Oh, hi there. Yeah, I was just listening to the man who was stuck 4 hours on a plane.
Yeah.
On British. Well, I went to Los Angeles. It was about 20 years ago. The plane turned back without a technical problem. And when we got back to London, they said 5 hours on the plane plus another 11 hours to get back to Los Angeles. That was 16 hours. And if anybody wanted to get off, it's British Airways, you'd lose the value of your ticket. Well, with a few other people, we got off because I just said, can't take it, I'll be knackered. And that was the old British Airways. And in recent years, they apparently have got better. But to leave people sitting on a plane for 4 hours with kids with no water, I think that that's disgraceful.
Well, not even the people in Abu Ghraib are suffering that sort of fate. That seems like a cruel and unusual punishment.
Yeah, well, I think, it seems like they're run by a large organisation, and it's easier to keep everyone in one plane in one place. And but what about people? I mean, they have no right anyway. I would say, I'm a lawyer. I would say they have no right to lock you on a plane for 4 hours if you're going nowhere. I would just say to people, we have to get off. That's it.
Well, this was 20 years ago, though, right? But they wouldn't do that now, surely.
Well, they just did. I just heard the man saying that after circling in the snow, they did exactly. They haven't changed. And they jolly well need to, and old Willie Walsh, or whatever he is from, they should either get a decent boss in who thinks about it. Otherwise, everyone will go on EasyJet. I prefer EasyJet nowadays. At least you come and you go, and you don't wait for a big build up and then find that it's It's lousy after all.
Right, I don't think that there's a single airline that's currently flying that doesn't have, that I couldn't get people ringing in their droves to complain about the service of one thing or another. I don't think it's just...
Well, Singapore Airlines is fabulous in comparison. Singapore they're very nice, they're nice people. And I think, and the Australian lot are alright. I think the British, they ought to learn, they've been in business for years and years, and it's no excuse. They tell you if you read their publicity, or I've got a few shares, not just a few, just in case I get a problem. And they're all very polite to shareholders. They want to be thought of as being polite and correct. But I think they've fallen down. I think they need a good kick.
Right. Well, I think they're getting that right now. Thanks a lot, Nigel.
All of it.
They're getting it from all quarters. Their collective bottoms must be quite sore. 0845 6060 973. There can't be any plane company, any airline company in existence that doesn't have people who could moan and whine and bitch and complain about it. I mean, the flight that I took to Thailand was delayed by a day, which is very annoying because it's supposed to go at something like 9 o'clock at night, which means you get on, you have a few drinks, have a meal, and then you go to sleep. And then you sleep, and you wake up, and you're relatively refreshed, and then you're ready to go. But they didn't fly at 9 o'clock at night. They flew at something like 9 o'clock in the morning instead, which means not only do you have to get up at the crack of dawn to slog out to Heathrow, but you're sitting in this uncomfortable seat all the way during the day, when you're not ready to sleep. And so you get to your destination in the middle of the night, wired. It was, but then, complaining, what's the point? Did you complain?
No, I didn't bother.
Yeah. I think that's what they count on. That you just can't be bothered. I mean, you just don't want to go through all of that. You just want to get it done, get it over with.
I figured it could have been worse. At least I got into the country.
Yeah.
I could have been stuck elsewhere, so...
Yeah, that's right. I find it astonishing, though, that they were actually diverting planes. I mean, that's comical. It really wasn't snowing here, hardly at all. I mean, there was a little bit in the morning, but it amounted to not an inch, I would say. I mean, like I said, you could still see the grass through the snow. I mean, there weren't drifts or anything. I mean, you know what it's like here. It snows a tiny little bit, and you wake up in the morning, and you think, oh, that's pretty. It's like a winter wonderland. And by the time you've had breakfast, it's all gone.
Well, you would have thought they could have diverted us somewhere a little closer as well. Instead of Manchester, why Manchester? Because in the extreme circumstance that we would all have to get off the plane and there was no way we could have got flown back to London.
Yeah.
The alternative would have been to either take a coach or a train back to London from Manchester.
Right, but of course during the snow, all trains must grind to a halt as well, and
Exactly.
the roads become impassable. What a great country. We can't cope with anything. It's as though we're teetering on the edge of disaster all the time. As though we're on the actual edge of a cliff, waving our arms frantically in order to maintain our balance and not fall over. That's our natural position, isn't it? That's the position that the country's in. Flapping its arms furiously in order to, stay upright. The slightest gust of wind will collapse us over. That's kind of the image that you get. I mean, we're not like solid and grounded and, we're just moments from catastrophe that will grind us to a halt at any given moment. A little bit of rain, all London ceases to move. It's just ridiculous. What on earth is going on? Let me tell you about the How Low auction, because that'll kill a lot of time. It's for a 32-inch Samsung LCD TV. These really are very good. It's a lovely looking thing, even without the picture that it produces. 32-inch widescreen. It's HD ready. It is built-in Freeview, which means that you don't need an extra ugly box to get all of those extra exciting channels. It's got high-definition scaling. I'll be honest, I've got no idea what that is, but presumably it makes it look even better than ordinarily it would. It's a reverse auction, this. The person with the lowest unique bid wins. That's the lowest bid in pence that nobody else makes. The game closes at 7 p.m. tomorrow. To bid, text LBC plus your bid in pence to 88821. If it was a bid for, 56p, for instance, it would be LBC 56 to 88821. Bids cost £1.50 plus your standard network rate. Lines close at 7 p.m. Wednesday the 16th of April. Bidders must be over 16. See lbc.co.uk for full terms and conditions. And the best of luck with that. I'm sort of running out of steam towards the end of this show. What else happened on your Jolly Hollies?
I'm trying to think of what the most exciting thing was.
Well, you presumably you started in New York, so you must have gone to the art galleries.
I didn't actually know, but I did walk a load of Manhattan.
So you walked past one?
Yeah. I went to the art museum in Philadelphia, the famous art museum.
Which is called?
Philadelphia Art Museum, probably.
You didn't go there?
I did.
You've got no idea what it's called?
No, I do. I've got the picture of it on my phone as well. But outside, it's the famous one where Rocky ran up.
Oh, really?
Film, and you see these tourists
running
up, and then cheering at the end.
Yeah.
And there's a statue of Rocky as well down by the side.
Oh,
and what was quite funny was that there was an orderly queue to take your picture with the Rocky statue.
That was
It was.
Weak Sylvester Stallone. I can't really do it very well. Arnie, I can do.
Correct. But yeah, no, so I took my pictures of the art museum and the Rocky statue. I did go in the art museum as well.
For a quick peek?
I looked around.
To go to the loo?
Unfortunately, the Frida Kahlo exhibition wasn't starting for another few hours, and I didn't have time to wait.
Right. Yeah, to hell with all that art stuff. You've got business.
Yes.
So, recommend it? No?
Yeah, I'd recommend it.
Philadelphia? Because it's not on anybody's holiday list, Philadelphia. It sounds...
No, but it does have some history stuff. You can go and check out Liberty Bell.
Oh, yeah.
So that's fairly interesting.
Is that it's not the actual one, though, is it? It's a facsimile, no?
No, I believe it is the actual
Right.
bell.
Okay.
So, if ever you're in Philadelphia, go and look
Oh,
at
absolutely not. I mean, I'll be in Dubai before I'm in Philadelphia, which is to say, never.
I bet secretly you've got a home out there, haven't you?
Yeah. I own Spain, the Virgin Islands, in the world development. No, you'd have to handcuff me and render me unconscious, I think, to get me to Dubai. I would maybe go if I won a holiday.
You can get a lot of every year they do a lottery, and you can win very fancy items like cars and stuff, and gold and money.
You could produce your own hip hop video. Hey, what have we talked about tonight then, eh?
We talked about the economy, the good times, being Gordon Brown, Glastonbury and Jay-Z. Well, we touched upon it. New York.
Yeah.
Eco-towns, greenfield sites, brownfield sites.
Bran.
You don't like Brown, do you?
No, I don't like Bran.
Milton Keynes, green spaces, the monarchy, tax-free shopping, Wi-Fi speed cameras, yellow cameras, London Camera Safety Partnership, statistics, French police, squares of London, the Callaghan government, unmarked cars, points on a licence, speeders, the Queen, mopeds, centres of gravity, driving with drugs.
How did we fit it all in?
I have no idea.
It's a mystery. Clive's next on LBC.